Are your people working hard but not reaching their full potential? The problem is not effort, it is development. At the Modern Observer Group, we transform workforce development into real performance. Our human-centered achievement programs help your team think better, communicate stronger, and execute at a higher level. That means higher employee engagement, stronger leadership, and measurable results across your organization. If you want a workforce that performs, leads, and delivers, it is time to invest in your people. Visit modernobserver.com and discover how the Modern Observer Group helps you build a workforce that wins.
Iranian proposal rejected. The UAE to leave OPEC, humanoid robots handling luggage, and more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and here's the news you need to know. President Trump and Secretary of State Marco Rubio rejected Iran's latest peace proposal Tuesday, saying it falls short because it doesn't address Tehran's nuclear program. President Trump claimed that Iran has privately admitted to being in a state of collapse, under pressure from the United States, and is desperate to get the Strait of Hormuz reopened. Since April 13th, Trump has imposed a sweeping blockade to stop Iranian ships from traversing the strait as part of a pressure campaign to free up the critical waterway. Iran has just informed us that they are in a state of collapse, the president posted on Truth Social. They want us to open the Hormuz Strait as soon as possible, as they try to figure out their leadership situation, which I believe they will be able to do. The United States, joined by the United Arab Emirates and backed by concerns from key European powers, sharply condemned the United Nations decision Monday to grant Iran a leadership post at a major nuclear treaty conference. Iran's selection is one of dozens of vice presidents at the Monitoring Review Conference for the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty reignited scrutiny over what critics say is a recurring pattern of Iran gaining procedural legitimacy inside international institutions, despite long-standing concerns over its nuclear conduct. The clash erupted as the 11th Review Conference of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty opened at UN headquarters in New York, where Iran was selected as one of 34 vice presidents through the non-aligned movement bloc. The conference includes 191 treaty parties and convenes every 5 years to review implementation of the pact aimed at preventing the spread of nuclear weapons. The United Arab Emirates said Tuesday it is pulling out of OPEC and OPEC Plus, a move that could reshape production strategy as global oil markets face supply constraints and rising demand expectations. The departure frees the UAE from group production quotas, giving it greater flexibility to increase output and expand its role across crude petrochemicals and natural gas markets. Officials signaled the shift is aimed at positioning the country for long-term global energy demand growth. UAE Energy Minister Soral Al-Mazrouri told Reuters the decision followed a careful look at national energy strategy and was a sovereign national decision grounded in long-term economic priorities. He said operating outside the group will allow the UAE to better meet future global demand. Being a country with no obligation under the group will give us flexibility, Al-Mazrouri said, adding the move comes at a time when global consumers require stable supply and strategic reserves are being drawn down. King Charles delivered an address to Congress to highlight the shared values of the US and UK, the first such address by a British monarch since his late mother, Queen Elizabeth II, did so in 1991. King Charles and Queen Camilla were honored at a state dinner hosted by President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump. It was the first formal white tie event there since President George W. Bush hosted Queen Elizabeth in 2007. Earlier, Charles addressed a joint meeting of Congress, making the second time a British monarch has done so. He was warmly welcomed in the chamber, and while much of his speech focused on the kinship between the US and the UK, he also pushed back on several issues that Trump has sparred with Britain over in recent months. Former FBI Director James Comey has been indicted for a second time by the Justice Department, multiple sources told Fox News. The charges appear to be in relation to a May 2025 Instagram photo of an 8647 shell formation on a beach. While the specific counts were not immediately clear, the indictment follows a wave of criticism from Republicans and Trump administration officials who viewed the post as a veiled threat. In the slang often used in the service industry, to 86 something means to eject, cancel, or get rid of it. Donald Trump is currently the 47th president of the United States. The Justice Department announced criminal charges Tuesday against Dr. Anthony Fauci's former top aide at the National Institutes of Health, accusing him of suppressing information about the origins of the coronavirus pandemic. The indictment alleges David Morenz boasted he had learned the tricks to disappear emails and skirt public information disclosures from a friend who ran the NIH FOIA office. The FCC moved to review ABC's broadcast licenses. A day after President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump called for ABC late night comedian Jimmy Kimmel to be fired, the FCC made the rare move of ordering Disney, which owns ABC, to file license renewals for its broadcast TV stations years ahead of schedule. The agency did not mention Kimmel in its call for the renewals, which appear to be tied to its investigation into Disney's DEI practices. The Trumps had demanded Kimmel's immediate firing after the late night host joked that Melania had a glow like an expectant widow. Kimmel's show was briefly suspended last year amid political pressure from the FCC, which objected to his monologue about the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. General Motors raised its 2026 guidance after significantly beating Wall Street's first quarter earnings expectations, following a roughly $500 million benefit from the U.S. Supreme Court decision to terminate and refund certain levies paid under President Donald Trump's tariffs. First quarter earnings per share came in at $3.70 adjusted versus $2.62 expected. Japan Airlines will introduce humanoid robots on a trial basis from the beginning of May, with a view to deploying them permanently as a solution to the country's chronic labor shortage. The Chinese-made humanoids will move travelers' luggage and cargo on the tarmac at Hamida, which handles more than 60 million passengers a year. JAL and its partner in the initiative, Japan Airlines GMO Internet Group, hope the experiment, which ends in 2028, will lessen the burden on human employees amid a surge in inbound tourism and forecasts of more severe labor shortages. That's the Raw Naked Truth for April 29th, 2026. You can catch every episode of the Raw Naked Truth Daily News Brief, as well as our sister podcast, Carnivore Radio, with news analysis and commentary, and the rest of the Xvadio Podcast Network at xvadio.com, the Apple Podcast app, YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech. We'll see you next time.